Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Alaikum salam.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to this special Q&A session hosted by Lujjah. We are truly honored to have you with us today in our first English session. And we are especially grateful to Professor Mark Tester for joining us and generously sharing his time, knowledge, and experience with our community. For those who are joining us for the first time, Lujjah is a Saudi science initiative that aims to inspire, empower, and connect students, graduates, and young professionals in the natural sciences through scientific programs, workshops, discussions, and knowledge-sharing spaces. We seek to make science more accessible, meaningful, and connected to real national and global challenges. Today's session is part of Lujjah's Enrichment program in plant sciences, a program designed to introduce students and early career science enthusiasts to the importance of plant science in addressing future challenges, especially in areas such as food security, sustainability, biotechnology, agriculture, and environmental resilience. Our session today is titled The Future of Food in Harsh Environments, a Research and Economic Perspective. So through this discussion, we hope to explore how scientific research, innovation, and entrepreneurship can contribute to building more sustainable food systems, especially in arid and challenges environments like Saudi Arabia and the wider regions. So we will introduce our guest today, our Professor Mark Tester. Welcome, Professor Mark. We're pleased to...
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Fantastic. It's great to be here.
I will introduce Professor Tester for you guys. Professor Tester is a plant science professor at King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, KAUST, and the chair of the Center of Excellence for Sustainable Food Security. He's also the co-founder of RITSI LLC, now known as IRIS, a company focused on developing technologies that support sustainable agriculture and in challenging climates. His work focuses on combining plant science with advanced technologies to improve the sustainability of food production. So Professor Tester's work presents a powerful example of how science can move beyond the laboratory and contribute to real-world solutions, economic opportunities, and national priorities. Professor Mark, thank you again for being with us today. We would be happy to start by hearing from you. What would you like to share with our audience about the future of food, plant science, and sustainable food production in harsh environments?
Yeah, thanks so much. It's great to be here. It's what a great initiative you guys have started here, and the aims, the topics. I couldn't agree more with what you're trying to do. I mean, I'm a just by way of bit more background where I've come from, because I suspect most of you here are younger and wanting to build your careers and make impacts and do more good than harm in your lives. This is for me. I started driven by the curiosity of science, to be honest, and as I came to learn more, I came to also learn more about um, how unsustainable a lot of our behaviors are, and how we really need to be, the way I word it is, reducing our environmental footprint on the planet. And that's a net process, as I say, try to maximize the good we're doing and minimize the harm we're doing. And of course, there's no one right answer. You have to do things which are good for you, for yourselves, and play to your strengths, and try to discover what you're particularly good at. And then that can sometimes lead to a very lovely positive feedback loop where you're enjoying your work, so you're quite probably better at those things that you enjoy, and then you also work harder at them, and so then you become better at them, and you end up enjoying them more, and so you get this a positive feedback for your own behavior and your own life and the impact you can make on the people and the planet around you. So for me, as an undergraduate, I discovered I was good at plants, and I was just I'm just a plant guy in some ways, and I I found that as I became more interested in plants, I wanted to do my PhD. I wanted to study and make discoveries. So a lot of it was curiosity driven at the beginning. And then as I learned more, I wanted to apply my learnings a lot more. I thought I had a very privileged life. I had a lot of luck. You make your luck as well, but I also had luck. And I wanted to use that privilege that those of us with high levels of education have. I wanted to use that to try to, yes, do some positive things on the world, and became more and more interested in not just plant science and not just plant adaptation, but then using that knowledge of adaptation to um, try to improve crops and improve the way crops are grown. And then it sort of went further than that. So I was starting to want to really see if I could use my knowledge to, yeah, reduce the environmental footprint of our production systems. And here at KAUST, I came to KAUST because I could see that the things which were interesting me and that I was becoming increasingly interested in absolutely aligned with KAUST's and the kingdom's interests. And furthermore, not only was there interest in the sort of work that I was doing, but also the means with which to support it and the commitment to provide means to help us do this sort of work. And I have to say, this really has just only got better here in the kingdom. And so now here at KAUST, we have a new strategic plan that has been developed, where we will be focusing a lot of research from across the entire university on a relatively small number of problems of great interest to the kingdom, where our research is not only going to be, good research and good science, which is a fundamental. You have to have good research and good science, but also to apply that science, direct that science, and then apply that science for the benefit of the kingdom. So they're calling this a mission-directed university now. And 4 primary missions that are being focused upon in the university is food, water, energy, and health. And this is wonderful. I mean, there aren't many universities in the world, there aren't many places in the world where there's this extraordinary commitment to not only supporting top quality research and top quality people, but to direct that for very specific, tangible benefits for the kingdom. So it just gives you a little bit more about my background and how I started as a researcher in Cambridge. I didn't say this. I was at Cambridge University as a student, and going all the way through to here in KAUST, where I'm able to draw on my 40 years, yes, 40 years of plant science learning and research, and trying to apply that really for very, very tangible benefits for both the environment and the broader society. There we go. That's
Thank
a little
you.
bit of
Thanks so much.
background. Thank you, Noura.
Yeah, thank you. That was a wonderful background, by the way. Thank you for
Thanks,
this
Lujjah.
insightful introduction. We received many, many questions from our audience before
Oh,
this
good.
session. Yeah,
Good.
some of them submitted in Arabic, so we will start by translating some
Mm.
of the Arabic questions. And we selected a few questions. So after that, inshallah,
Okay.
we pin the mic. So maybe anyone who wants to join or ask live questions, we will give him the chance. Okay,
Lovely. Thank you.
I will start with the questions. This question is about saline agriculture and freshwater use. Someone asked, can saline agriculture significantly reduce freshwater consumption in arid regions, or will it remain only a complementary solution?
Yeah. Was saline agriculture? Was that the question? It was asking about saline
Yeah.
agriculture? Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah. Actually, this is a very good question and cuts right to the heart of a large fraction of my lifetime's research. And, um, you know, if I'm really being very, very quantitatively, hardly analytical, which I think we should be, I really do think that the true applications, quantitative contributions saline agriculture can make to global food security are really, to be honest, relatively modest. Um, I remember doing some calculations in the Australian context where perhaps a third of the land is being significantly affected and having yields significantly reduced by salinity. In that Australian context, where there's a lot of salinity, really, if we did things that were amazing, like increase yields by 20% of wheat on saline soils at a national level, we'd only be making a contribution to the national grain harvest of maybe 5%. So even extraordinary advances in plant science would at the national level make a relatively small contribution. So in terms of global food security, in terms of the total millions of tons of wheat being grown on the planet, the salinity tolerance research is very modest. The contribution's modest. However, it's a little bit more complicated than that because we need to look at who's farming that land, not just the total national interest, but also the human dimension. And this is really important. I can give you one example for Australia and then another anecdote from Bangladesh. So in Australia, yes, I can do amazing things with salinity tolerance in wheat and have huge increases in yield. Nationally, I'm making a small contribution. But think about the 30% of the land on which this saline affected agriculture is undertaken. It's undertaken often, usually, by the poorer farmers, not the wealthier farmers, the poorer farmers on the poorer land. And it's 30% of the land area. So, this is going to be a substantial fraction of farmers on which you could be making a 20% increase in yields. That would suggest a significant, a substantial increase in return in income for those poorer farmers. So at a human level, I think increasing the salinity tolerance of crops can actually make quite a substantial contribution societally, well-being of the agriculture globally, of the farmers globally. And in southern Bangladesh, there's a system where you have the monsoon and you grow rice, and then in between the monsoon, you have a drier environment, and there's the potential for growing wheat, but the yields are really low because the soils are substantially salt affected, especially during the drier season, where that wheat might be grown. And increasing the salinity tolerance of the wheat crops in those systems can lead to a substantial increase in income for those poorer farmers on those poorer quality soils who are trying to squeeze out a little bit more yield, a little bit more return from their patches of land. And that can be, again, a really substantial contribution at the human level. And there's a lot of people down there in those salt affected. It's a very wide area of land that's salt affected which has the huge opportunities for salt-tolerant agriculture to be making an impact at that human level, not at the national level, because upland on the fresher soils, you're going to grow a lot of wheat. And the farmers don't need salt-tolerant crops, and they're producing high yields. So nationally, the yield, the contribution's modest. But for that large population of farmers in the poorer coastal lands, you can really make quite a big help. Okay,
Do you want me to jump into the next question?
that'd be nice.
Okay. The next question is about plant adaptation versus redesigning agricultural systems. So
Yeah.
the question is, with climate change and increasing water scarcity, do you think the more practical solution is to develop the plants to tolerate to the environment,
Mhm.
or redesign the agricultural system entirely? Which approach would have a faster impact on food scarcity? Sorry. So yeah, do you think what should come first, focusing
Yeah.
on developing the plants to adapt to our environment or changing our environments?
This is such a good question. Very good questions already. Blimey, you're making me work hard, which is good. Look, the true answer is it's both, and it depends.
Okay.
And this isn't me just being a pedantic academic. I sincerely believe that we need to do both. It depends on the
Environment.
systems and the species and where we are. So let's think about Saudi Arabia. If you've got date palms,
Okay.
very important crop, one of the few crops where you've got a really, it's still modest, but it's got a lot of opportunity to grow, even export potential for date palms. Um, the way you can alter the environment is primarily through drainage systems and soil enrichment, um, uh, types of types types of irrigation systems, maybe subsurface irrigation systems. So there's quite a lot of areas where you can potentially be altering the environment to improve the date palm cultivation and reduce the water, in particular, water consumption that's required for the date palm system. You can do that, and you can also improve the plants. For example, one of our colleagues here, Professor Jesse Poland, boy, doing really impressive work on the date palms and looking at, in particular, the male plants, the pollinator species, and looking at identifying and eliminating from date palm groves what you could call useless males. Um, Women in the audience, be quiet, don't say too much. But a lot of males are actually useless, not just in the human world, but also in the date palm world, where they're producing low volumes of pollen or low viability pollen. And you can use science and technology to rapidly, cheaply identify the useless male date palms and replace them with the useful female plant that's going to give you fruit, and or replace it with a useful male that then will give you increased yield on the female plants. So there's lots of things you could do in relatively simple ways to improve date palm orchards, even through raw plant science and genetics. This is in addition to, of course, breeding programs and genetic improvement of the female plants, and the male plants for that matter, which of course take many decades. So that even for something like a date palm, you've got both agronomy and plant science, which can be improving your crop. And I think the same could be applied across the board. For me in Saudi Arabia, the giant in the room is water availability. And for me in Saudi Arabia, I see a very powerful future for increasing the amount of controlled environment agriculture, having more greenhouses. These can be mid-tech greenhouses, low-tech greenhouses, high-tech greenhouses. It doesn't matter. But with greenhouse, it probably again depends on lots of complicated factors, which are often more economic than technical. But what you can do is use greenhouses to enable us to increase our self-sufficiency in relatively high value crops, such as the fresh fruits and vegetables and salads, and reduce the need to fly them in with a huge carbon footprint, incidentally. And we can increase the seasons, we can increase the yields, we can increase the efficiency by using controlled environment agriculture. And that's like an extreme example of altering the environment to suit the plants. And in the Saudi Arabian context, I think controlled environment agriculture is a massive alteration of the environment to suit the plants is going to be really, really beneficial. Having said that, that doesn't mean we don't also want to improve the plants to suit the controlled environment agricultural systems that we're going to get here in Saudi Arabia. I'll give you one example and then I'll stop. And that example is if you go to the Netherlands or you go to Northern Europe, they'll tell you the greenhouse has to be cooled to 27 degrees Celsius because that's the optimal temperature for the production of tomato fruits. So you go, oh, right, okay. And they're very definitive about this. And you go, but there's a lot of genetic variation out there. There's all sorts of amazing stuff that plants can do and adapt to different environments. Why don't we question that Dutch paradigm that greenhouses have to be cooled to 27 degrees Celsius? Let's see if we could get tomato plants, develop tomato plants, which have that optimal fruit production, not at 27, but at, say, 32 degrees, 5 degrees warmer. Just think of the massive savings in water and energy that we'd be able to have in our pockets if we only had to cool the greenhouse to 32 instead of 27. And think of the extraordinary increase in the extension of the season we could have in Saudi Arabia, because cooling to 27 is really very, like, pretty close to impossible in the and certainly not economically viable for many, many months of the year in Saudi Arabia. But cooling to 32, much more feasible for a lot longer. And so we could have a lot longer self-sufficiency in fresh fruits and vegetables if we were able to grow them at just that little bit higher temperature. So there we're going to adjust the plants to suit the environment that we find here in Saudi Arabia and adjust the environment as well. So I think the answer is a genuine, it's both that we need to do.
Okay, thank you. That was such a good answer.
Thank you.
So the next question is about your journey or like your development from academic research to Iris. So
Yeah.
the question was, okay,
Mm.
how you professors successfully translated your academic research into
Mm.
real-world commercial impact through Iris?
Mhm.
What were the key stages in turning your research into technologies
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
served agricultural environments? And what
Yeah.
advice would you give to people who want to transform their
Yeah.
innovations into agri-tech startups?
Yeah.
Can you please, before answering the question, just tell us a brief about what Iris is? Maybe people who just joined don't know.
Sure, sure. So,
Thank
Iris is a company which I co-founded quite a few years ago now, and it, in its current state, has two main products that are being sold around the world. One was developed by a co-founder and colleague here in KAUST, a wonderful, bright, young Turkish woman who's a material scientist, and she invented nanoparticles which can absorb heat in the near infrared wave bands and have a very, very low absorption of visible light. So these are perfect for putting into the roofs of greenhouses and reducing the penetration of heat down into the greenhouse. It reduces water consumption, reduces energy consumption,
you.
and increases yield. And the uh, the other half of the company was my own research, or derived from my own research, where we've developed a range of rootstocks, in particular of tomatoes, but other species now as well, where we're able to graft tomato plants onto these rootstocks, and it increases multiple traits of the overall plant, increasing the yield for the farmers and reducing the inputs required. So both of these things came out from fundamental, really pretty fundamental research that we were undertaking, both of us here in KAUST. And these led to what we did was we realized we needed to be able to commercialize these, and we really wanted to make an impact. So that's a description of the company. And I'll just slide on to where we're coming from, the journey. So we're both doing our research, Daria and I, completely independently. We barely knew each other, but we made our various discoveries through our fundamental research, and really no one was interested out there in the real world and in what we were doing. And so for us to be able to really reach the market and deliver the impacts from that research, we both independently realized that we had to set up a company and test our products in the commercial environment, really see if there really was a market, really see if our inventions did work, and then start to make sales, and then people will start to notice. So that was the reason for doing the startup. You can make impacts in lots of ways, from education and outreach through to collaborations with multinational or large national companies and all sorts of things in between. So having a product and then being able to get it to market, which is the way to make an impact through a scientific innovation usually, we really found that we had no choice in a way but to set up our own startup. And as a journey, oh my goodness, it's really, really difficult, I have to say. It is difficult. And I can see why 90+% of startups do fail to get through to sales. The first thing as advice for anyone setting up a startup is to make a very critical assessment of whether or not there is anybody who's going to want to buy your invention. All right. So you have to do your market research. Why would someone pay you money for your invention? What's the benefit to them of purchasing that product from your invention? And that's always a horribly difficult question to address critically and analytically, because you think what you've done is fantastic. You think it's great. You invented it. It's something that's new. But are other people going to be benefiting from it? That's the best way to word it. All right. What's in it for your customer? So people always talk about having to make a business plan for your company, which of course is necessary. How much it's going to cost to get something to market, and then how much income are you going to get back, and all those things. So that's your business plan for your own company. But I think it's equally important to also do a business plan for your customer. All right. So why will your customer buy it from you? What's the benefit to them? And will that benefit outweigh the cost that you have to charge the customer for you to make your business plan work? Will the customer actually bear that cost and want to pay you the money for whatever it is that you've invented? So you really have to be very, very self-critical, and you have to go through this. And the other thing you have to do in the process, because you don't always know the answer to these questions at the start, but if you've got a feeling in your tummy that that's what you think is going to be, it is going to make sense, is often a very common phrase I use. If it's going to make sense, this business, then pursue it, keep going, but always be critical on yourself. Always be very, very careful with your money and be very, very ready and willing to change direction. All right. Just because you've had the idea and you love the idea doesn't mean it's the best idea. And as you're going along, you may have another idea. And then to use the business jargon, you can pivot. You can change from what you're going to do to something else. We make our rootstocks and we're doing it and we're selling, making these rootstocks and developing them. And then we go, oh, actually, that's not where the big market is, or that's really not going to work so well. When in that direction we were going, let's change direction. And the faster you can recognize that you're in trouble or going down a dead end, the faster you can back out and move in another direction. Uh, that's really, really important. It's a fundamental basis for the success of our company was that we're very, very self-critical, constantly asking ourselves, are we heading in the right direction? Are we doing the right thing? And I would say we had at least three substantial pivots in the process. And that is really, really tough because also usually means that you have to lay off people in the company because you've got the wrong people for that new direction you need to take. You need to ask, you have to do some things which are really, really hard sometimes. But as long as you communicate them clearly, consistently, and logically, then you can usually navigate through these things. But boy, poof, that's the startup story. You really have to want to do it. You really have to have a very deep feeling, preferably an analytically, properly analyzed feeling that what you're doing is going to be wanted out there in the market, and then keep going and move as fast as you can.
Thank you so much.
Push up.
Actually, when you said, yeah. Do you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when you said you have to look to the business from the customer perspective as a
Yeah.
business opportunity, that was such a good tip. Thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was an answer. So, a plant science student asked a question.
Good.
Her question is about skills for plant science graduates. I will quote her question. She said, as a plant science student, what are the most promising career paths and fields that
Mhm.
graduates should focus on today? And what skills would make graduates qualified to work in major agri-tech companies such as Iris, for example?
Mhm. Yeah. Yep. I think being able to adopt, gosh, I'm from Cambridge, all right, where um, we place high value on thinking and being smart and all these sorts of things. And really, we have to be honest. A lot of what we do is technology driven. Okay. Now, being able to learn the technologies, you need to be smart. Being able to identify the good technologies, you need to be smart and all that, sure. But really, fundamentally, a lot of what we do is not driven by intellectual process, but by technical progress. And so, really, the more you can and the faster you can recognize and learn, adopt new technologies, the more the better you will progress in the world. And um, how you do that again, talking, reading, listening to people, listening properly to people and taking advice, trying to not just sense where the wind is blowing, but really um, doing your research constantly. And I don't mean scientific research. I mean your reading of the way things are moving in the world, and try to be one step ahead, of course, which is always difficult. But the specific skills at the moment, it's obvious. I think you'll all know this. The the advances in digital technologies, the advances in digital technologies more broadly, not just AI. AI is fantastic, powerful, and important, but it's way more than just in inverted commas AI and how you use the AI, but digital technologies more broadly, whether we're talking about sensors and Internet of Things, we're talking about computer vision, talking about robotics. Robotics sort of integrates all of the previous ones. And the more you're able to learn about those, adopt them, and you can adopt these in collaboration. You don't just have to have those technical skills yourself, but to be able to recognize the utility of a robotic arm or a computer vision tool that's emerging, and then apply that, learn how to use it, and apply that for the questions that you're wanting to address. Really is, I think, a huge skill. And the advanced digital technologies from AI onwards are only going to do wonderful things to the planet and our area of food security. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is about KAUST research exposure. Someone asked for students interested in research training at KAUST, how can they collaborate with faculty members on scientific research beyond the VSRP program? Is it possible to work with a professor individually at KAUST? Also, would having a published paper in an accredited local journal strengthen an application for a KAUST master's program, for example?
Mm-hmm. Oof, yes. So having a good GPA is essential. Um, Having a published
Okay.
paper is definitely sets you apart. Definitely sets you apart. So that's always very useful. Yes. Um, if you've got the opportunity to do so, grab it with both hands. Um, you can apply. The audience here, wow, you've got 99 people here. This is incredible. Um, I presume, am I right to presume most people here are Saudi? Send us a sparkle or something if you're Saudi. Yeah? Lots of you are Saudi, lots of thumbs ups. Yeah, all right, okay. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. Right. Lots of Saudis in the audience. This is great. So, um, if you are Saudi, yep, love it. Wow, thank you all. That's just fabulous. So, if you're Saudi, I think the rules are changing. So you have to check the rules. All right. So again, do your due diligence. Be careful. So if you're Saudi, as I understand it, you can apply. Please be careful. I might be wrong here, but I think you can apply to come in to do a master's and not have a specific professor mentor who has already pre-accepted you into your group. I think that's correct. And if I am right, then that's fantastic. What you need then is to be extremely good and to be able to be intelligent and project your intelligence and keenness to someone who will be interviewing you for admission. Um, if not, if you do have to have a um, a professor, all I can suggest, and the advantage of getting in without having a professor mentor, a named person, is the advantage is that you can come in, you can start your course, and then you go to the lectures, you can go and visit professors in their offices, and you can find people and doing things in person. I mean, I have to admit, it is still easier. I'm not just because I'm an old guy, but I think being in that same room and transmitting, projecting your keenness and smartness, it's definitely easier in person. But if you can't do that, and as I say, I apologize, I actually don't know 100% the rules uh, this season. But if you can't do that, then what you have to do is um, do your best by emailing, communicating with your favorite professors or several. Definitely don't just fix on one, on several professors, and you have to just try to catch attention by being distinctive Don't be casual. Don't just say hi. That doesn't really generally go down well, I don't think. But be distinctive by showing how you actually are aware of a particular professor's area of research and uh, how you think that your background and your interests and abilities will enable you to contribute to the professor's research. So dear Professor Tester, I've been following your research for several years, really interested in what you've been doing in salinity tolerance. I think that my skills in bioinformatics would be able to contribute because blah, that will help you with the genetic studies. So talk about how you can help the research progress in the research laboratory that you're targeting. That's what I would advise. Okay. Is that a help? Is that the
Mhm.
right sort of
Thank you.
answer? Or did I lose my way a little bit there?
Yeah,
Is that all right?
yeah, I think it's helpful. Yeah,
You
yeah, it's
you
all right. Thank you.
you can prompt me, Bushra, and
Oh,
do follow up if you want me to do some more.
no. Okay, I will. So now maybe we should give the opportunity to people to ask their
Mm,
questions. So whoever, if someone wants to ask Professor Mark a question, you can raise your hand. Who would like to
the
start the
hand
first
up.
question? Oh, someone.
Nasiru
Yeah,
put up his
uh,
hand.
this person is. Okay. How can I unmute him? Can someone unmute?
He should be able to. No, he's unmuted himself.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, Professor.
Yes. Good
I'm
evening.
talking to you from Nigeria. From Nigeria. I'm biotechnology student, MSc.
Good.
So I'm thinking as CAUS offers like a wonderful platform for learning. So I wish to continue my PhD there if possible. So my question is that I don't know the research, the kind of proposal that we have, is it based on CAUS objective or the student can suggest his own proposal? Thank
Yep.
you.
Yep, sure. No, it's a perfectly fair question. And it's a fairly clear answer for this one. That the research, at least for most professors here in KAUST, and certainly I speak personally as well, the research will be directed by the professor and by their research program that they've been developing over, for me, several decades of research. So 90+% of the time, the overall program that the student would take would be um, coming from me. Now, I've got loads of ideas. Most professors will have many, many ideas. So it's not like, I'm going to say, hi, Nasiru, it's good to meet you. Now you're going to be working on this project. It won't be necessarily like that, but it will be a discussion. But the ideas would be that we would be talking about, I've got like half a dozen ideas of projects that are actively wanting to pursue now. And so we would discuss it, see what your skills are, find a project which matches with your skills and interests among a small menu of projects that I would have in my head at the moment.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
very much, Professor. The next question is that,
Pleasure.
Africa,
Ah,
in Africa, we are underrepresented in terms of scientific publication. So I
yes,
don't know, would you consider us like, because it's difficult for us, even in MSc, to publish an article. So
yes.
will you consider it like from African students?
Yes, of course. I've had many African students from both Saharan and sub-Saharan Africa. There's no issues if there's a sparkle in the eye and a clear, keenness and energy that I can sense. Then I would certainly take that student wherever they're from. Publications are not essential, they're beneficial. And I said that very carefully, actually. I said, if you have the opportunity to publish, then grab it, because that will make you distinctive. If you don't have that, sure, that makes it a bit harder for you, there's no doubt. But it's certainly not a prejudicial thing, especially if there's that sparkle in the eyes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prof.
Pleasure. Afwan.
Hi, can I ask a question? I have raised the hand, but I don't know you can see it or not.
Yes, I can see a hand. I mean, I'm not the boss here.
Okay, lovely. I don't know. This is Mufiz. I'm from Bangladesh, and actually, I work on salt issues in the coastal areas of Bangladesh. The
Wonderful.
two things
Wonderful.
I'm
Okay, good.
dealing at this moment is salinity and health. So I look at
Right.
high blood pressure.
Ah,
Because people who drink a lot of salty water is likely
Yep.
to develop hypertension.
Yep.
But that
Yep.
raises a lot of more question than answer, because a lot of non-coastal areas also people developing a lot of high blood pressure.
Mhm.
And so it's difficult to connect everything with salt problem.
Sure.
And I also look at rice cultivation with salt. So my question is a bit different. I'm not asking anything about admission, but my question is, when you say salt tolerant rice varieties or any other crop varieties, does it compromise any nutritional capability or nutritional things of a particular plant?
Yeah,
This is very
sure.
curious because there might be trade-offs. Because when
Yeah.
I talk to farmers, very often they are not interested to these modified crop varieties because they're very economically, they're very enriched, even though they're not really formally educated.
Yeah,
So my
sure.
question is about this trade-off. Is there any trade-off we have to deal with when we introduce certain salt-tolerant crop variety? Thank you.
Sure. No, it's a good question. It's a very technical question. I'll try to keep the answer brief. The bottom line is that for I think all the crops that I have worked with, the salinity does not reduce the nutritional quality of the grain. Plants will keep the sodium out of almost all of the edible crops because a lot of those edible crops are the fruits or the grains, and it's like the plant's child. That's the next generation. And just like a human, they will do anything they can to protect that child, their offspring. And so the salt levels in the fruits and vegetables are usually, there are exceptions, but usually maintained at low levels, even in a saline environment. So there isn't that healthy. There are sometimes secondary effects of salinity on fruit or grain quality. It might change the starch structure. So some of the preferences people might have for eating a particular grain, but usually it's not a very large impact. And in fact, for tomatoes that I know a fair bit about, when you grow them in a saline soil, they actually have a higher nutritional value and also a higher taste quality because there's often an accumulation of soluble sugars in the fruit. So that makes the fruit taste sweeter, which is desired by people. And it also often increases the antioxidant concentrations in the fruits because the plant's stressed. And so you will get an increase in antioxidant concentrations, which is good. Vitamin C and things like that, which are good for your health. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. So I think there was Raud Dawood. She had her hand up for quite a long time.
Hello, Professor Tester. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
First of all, thank you so much for your time and sharing your knowledge with us. My question might be slightly outside of pure plant science since I'm not a plant
Yep.
scientist myself,
I'll do my best
but
then.
it's the intersection of plant science and a broader view of food sustainability and food security.
Fine.
I would like to get your thoughts on food waste and agricultural waste valorization,
Yes.
and if you think that by innovating in that very niche area, we can hopefully achieve a circular economy and we can hopefully,
Sure.
I don't know, solve the global food
Yeah.
insecurity issue. Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful question. Really, really good question. It's not niche. It's not niche at all. About in Saudi Arabia, the estimates are that 40% of the food that is purchased is wasted. This is a massive fraction. And just imagine if we could even halve that waste, that would have an enormous impact on multiple levels in the food sector and the environment and the economy. I mean, the food is a very big contributor to a balance of trade deficit in the food sector. It's well over $20 billion of balance of trade deficit. So, and most of that food's imported here in Saudi Arabia. So imagine if we could halve waste, that would save the kingdom $4-5 billion of revenues being lost. That's a lot of money. So no, it's not niche at all. And yes, we do need to reduce waste first and foremost. But then secondly, yes, valorize waste. See if we can try to upcycle, see if we can make things of value out of things which are otherwise considered not of any value. That's the definition of the word waste. So yes, I would very strongly encourage anybody to be working towards both reduction of waste and valorization of waste. Here at KAUS, we've got people working with black soldier fly larvae, so feeding waste to little fly maggots, larvae, and then those are able to be used as a very highly nutritious food source for fish and chickens and probably other animals as well. And there's another project where there's a chemist who's working with waste milk and fruit juice and using that to extract very high value chemicals, compounds out of those waste products, which can then be fed back into the food chain. Whether we ever achieve full circularity, no, that doesn't happen. But it's a term, it's a catchphrase, which is fashionable at the moment, this decade. But as a concept, it's a useful concept. And if it gets politicians alert, if it gets the general public alert to this problem, I'm fine with it. But we have to acknowledge we'll never achieve full circularity as such. But come on, let's see what we can do to at least move towards that. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank
Do
you.
it. Do it. Okay, I think Professor Saqib has been
Yeah,
having his hand up for a while.
thank you very much, Professor Tester. I am Professor Saqib, and I am always very pleased to listen to you, learned a lot from your papers and from your talks. And
Thank you.
today I would like to ask you a question about wild weeds. I work on
Yes.
salt-affected soils and salinity tolerance of different plants, particularly wheat, and presently I'm doing some work on wild weeds. So how do you think? I have also read few of your papers on the wild wheat. To what extent, in your experience, it can contribute to further improve the salt tolerance? Because wheat, it's staple food of a lot
Sure.
of population.
Sure.
So could you please share your experiences, particularly with the use of these wild weeds and their
Yep.
contribution, which
Sure.
you can expect its potential, please?
Sure. So just so everybody's aware of the context for this question, most of our food that we grow has often come from a very, very small subset of wild relatives, often fixed genetically, maybe, many thousands of years ago. And what we now have technologies increasingly to do is to go back to the wild relatives of our crops and see if we can use those wild relatives to bring in to our genetically relatively narrow domesticated crops fresh variation to improve, for example, the tolerance of our crops to salinity, pests and diseases, and other stresses. So the answer, I mean, is really that yes, we can do this. To be honest, I don't know why we haven't done it more. And I would love to see more work being done on this. What's exciting about the current technological situation is that we've now got genomics, we've now got robotics, we've now got many, many technologies which give us increasing opportunity to unlock the wild relatives and to access all of those genes and genomes that are not hiding, that are tucked away inside these wild relatives, and gives us more power to be able to introgress them because of our breeding technologies being so much more powerful than they were. But a lot of this work has to be done in universities because it's a long piece of work. It needs to be done by professors, by students as part of their learning process. Companies are very unwilling to do this sort of work because it becomes too it just burns up too much money up front. The timelines are too long. So yes, I think there's lots of possibilities, and I would love to see more of that type of work being done in universities.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's
Pleasure.
really encouraging comment for me, and yeah,
Pleasure.
always pleasure to listen to you.
Best of luck. Best of luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can see a hand up here from Norhan, if I've
Oh,
read
yes.
the Arabic correctly.
Hello, Professor.
Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for being here today. To be honest, like I think I really
Pleasure.
needed this. To hear from you, like a professor from CAUS. This is such a big deal to me. Just thank you for being here today. So
Pleasure.
my question isn't really related to today's discussion, and it's not really about plant science. It's not really my major. I'm a microbiology student. I just wanted to know your input about the visiting student program. Being a student myself that's interested in coral reefs and Raquel Pichotto's research recently,
Yes.
I've been really thinking about applying, and I really want to know your input about that.
Yes, too. I mean, Raquel is a wonderful person. Gosh, her energy, her positivity, she's just superb. It's just lovely being. I'm in the same building as her, and it's just lovely. You feel the vibrations through the building from her energy and activity. So yeah, I can't recommend her too highly, and tell her that you talked to me and recommended her.
That's amazing.
Because she's well, no, the fact that we've communicated already is important. That's a differentiator. You know what I was saying earlier. You're here and you've got the gumption, you've got the energy yourself, the initiative to ask questions, and that's fantastic. So microbiology, by the way, has got a lot of contributions to make in a lot of areas of biology, including plant science and food security. But no, what Raquel does with the corals is interesting science and potentially impactful as well. So just go straight ahead and do it.
Thank you so much. I really needed to hear that.
And best of luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nohan. How are we going? We may be done, Bushra. How are you going?
Muted. Doing good. Man will be the last person to ask because we already passed the session time. So before I end the session, can you please turn on your camera so we can take a group photo?
Oh, that's a
maybe,
nice
as a
idea.
memory?
That's an excellent idea.
Okay.
So you have to turn off your screen.
I don't think I will be in the group photo.
No, but oh well, you
Okay.
can be. No, but what I meant was get rid of the
Yes.
Q&A, get rid of your slides, stop sharing your screen, and that will make it bigger on
Okay,
your
okay.
laptop. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So whoever wants to join the group photo, please turn on your camera and smile. Okay.
Actually, we are not allowed to turn on the camera. It's all says that you cannot turn on your camera.
Right.
Okay, maybe it's the settings.
Oh, wow.
So can you please give them permission to turn on their camera? Some people are already turning on their cameras. So maybe
Yes.
it's your
Nasiru
setting.
had his camera on for a while.
Yeah. Okay, so
There's lots of pages of people. There's so many people here.
yeah.
Thank you all for coming. It's amazing.
Thank you for coming, yeah. And thank you very much, Professor Mark, for this
Pleasure.
valuable sparring. And
Pleasure.
we are truly appreciate your time and generosity in answering our questions and sharing your perspective with the Lujjah's audience. We
Lovely.
also
Thank
want
you.
to thank everyone who joined us today.
You've
The
been
great level
wonderful
of interest
people.
in this topic, and we received many questions. Yeah. Unfortunately, we may not be able to cover all the questions.
Yes,
We
sorry.
didn't
Yes.
cover all the questions, but inshallah, yeah, sorry. Inshallah, next time we'll try to find a suitable way to share the remaining questions with some or
Sure.
summaries, the key insights.
Right, well, good on you for actually
Professor Mark,
doing this. This is an amazing initiative, and full credit to you doing this.
thank you. Professor Mark, I hope this will not be the last time we host you with Lujjah. It has been a real pleasure and honor to have you with us. Before we close, we would love to give the final word. What final message would you like to share with students, graduates, or anyone interested in plant science, food security, and sustainability?
Wow. I mean, as a final word, if you're interested in these things, pursue them, chase them as much as you can, put your full heart and energy into what you're wanting to do. And as I say, you'll end up with this positive feedback loop. The more you put in, the more you'll get back out. And that means the more you'll want to put in, and then the better you'll do. And hopefully, you sometimes need a little dose of luck as well, I have to confess, but you need to make your luck as well. Give yourself every opportunity to pursue that passion and try to do this for as long as you are able.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Well, thank you for the opportunity for me to talk to everybody today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for everyone attending. Also, you can follow Professor Mark and learn more about his work through his official accounts and pages. And you can also follow Lujjah through our social media accounts to stay updated on our upcoming programs, workshops, and scientific events. Thank you again for joining us, and we hope to see you all in future sessions. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you very much, Professor Mark. Thank you for your time.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you for the invitation, and what a great initiative.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. See you guys soon, inshallah. Bye.
Bye.
Hello. Can I speak? Hello. Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, sir. I am actually from Kerala, India.
Yes, hello.
I'm so sorry, like as the session is over, I'm so sorry because I cannot join the meeting as it is full of everyone is like full participants because of that.
Okay.
Like yeah, I sorry.
It's a terrible echo too.
Yeah.
Can I speak? Hello.
It's okay with the professor. Yeah, you may speak. I think someone else turned on their mic. That's why. Or your voice is very clear. Yeah.
I just want to ask one thing that, okay, I am a postgraduate. I completed my postgraduate from plant science. And, in India, it is like the opportunities are very less. That is like after plant science degree, we have only like main research, which will lead to the assistant professors in college for lectureship.
Mm.
Okay, so like I came across you through LinkedIn, and I found that like many of them are like like PhD. It lead to something valuable or startups or some sort of things like that. So I want to ask, like, how could I turn my PhD? I'm not. I have just completed. So if I want to work in plant physiology and biochemistry, how could I turn my findings, my PhD work, into something that is productive and something like startups or something that is beneficial for the society?
Oh boy, yes. Well, that's a whole journey, I have to say. You perhaps you missed an earlier answer I gave, which was along these lines. And it really depends massively on what your product is, what your innovation, perhaps I should say, is, and how you can turn that innovation into a product depends massively on the thing that you're dealing with. And the bottom line is that you have to make sure, and I said this earlier, the bottom line is that you have to make sure that there's a market for your product, that somebody wants to be able to buy what you've invented, and that it makes sense for them to buy what you have innovated. All right. So that's the bottom line. And if you've got something which people are going to want, then go to people who can advise you or can fund you, and then go through that process of converting your innovation into something that people can then purchase. That's all I can really advise at this stage.
Okay.
All
So I
right.
want to question, like, this is the last. I'll
Thank
leave.
you.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks a lot.
This is recorded, so go back to
That's
see the
good.
session, or like
Good.
if you had, yeah. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for your
Bushra.
time.
Very, very good work. Thank you very much. Well done.
Well, okay, we're done.
Okay.
See you soon, inshallah.
Bye. Bye, everybody.